If confidence means that I just go into the game and I'm not afraid who I'm facing, then yeah, we're confident, but we're not confident to the point where we're like, we're just gonna trash these guys, like they're so bad, you know. And I think, for example, Roca, since the O2 does, or Fnatic that O2 does, we would have some more like respect, you know, but against H2K it's more about, we know we can beat them, and we're just mostly focusing on ourselves, and we're not afraid of them.
Welcome back to the European LCS semifinals. Mithy says we know they can beat them. Well, so far they're up 2-0 OG over H2K, looking for that clean sweep. But in all honesty, to H2K as well, Game 2 was a lot closer for the longest part of the game. Let's start by looking at picks and bans, because this time around, OG, more clear pick and ban, a better pick and ban you guys were thinking than Game 1.
I think the only thing I don't like is the Ahri. I think they could have picked Oriana instead. Ahri is a champion that looks very good when your team is ahead, and obviously with the teleport as well, it's going to look very good when the team is ahead. But I feel with the composition they're running, they need to kind of push the power to just win the early game and not have something that relies on the rest of the team. Just pick the Oriana really strong in lane and just play around that.
Right, but I think it's very interesting about the Ahri. Actually, in contrast to what Mithy just said in the video as we came back, talking about confidence, I feel like FLICKR is playing incredibly confidently up against Ryu. He takes the TP. We saw Toys in the LMS regional qualifiers doing the same thing. He went 2-0 on that. And we were talking during the game, taking teleport on a mid laner like Ahri sacrifices all of your lane pressure when it comes to actually getting ahead and looks for plays elsewhere. So I feel like FLICKR just doesn't seem to be worried at all. And we were talking about if he doesn't get Victor, is he going to struggle? Doesn't seem to be doing it thus far.
He might not have any other champions left but Ahri, though.
It feels like to me, Peke is the clutch player, you know, and I don't feel like in these games he's the clutch player. And this one in particular, I feel Mithy was a clutch player.
Yeah, let's actually pull one of the replays up that was well, defining in this one. There was a lot going on around Baron, and here OG starts it and then pick it with the flank.
Yeah, it's actually starting off fairly well with the engage and everything, but then the Oriana saves everything, and then Mithy with the flash ultimate, that saved the complete team fight. That was actually MVP-worthy status in that game. That was so good by Mithy. And after that, they completely cleaned up the fight, got the Baron after that, and I think after that the game was kind of decided, because it was very hard for H2K to pull back. Even though OG's comp has like a really good early game, mid game and everything, H2K's comp would outscale them pretty hard, because Tristana and Oriana, but they never got to the status where they can actually comfortable push and be in a position, in a driving seat, basically. So they were always in the back foot, and maybe that was because of lacking jungle pressure in that game, but it seems like H2K was always a step behind in everything. Rotations, in team fights, in positioning, and how they put the people on the map, and that showed pretty much in the game.
I would also like to add the fact that after this game, it doesn't feel like H2K could come back. I think this game was like admitting defeat, because I think the early game was lacking a game plan. They're playing around with the Gragas around the lane that is supposed to lose. It's easier for them in the early game to play around the Shen, because the Shen can easily transition the pressure from top side into bottom, and that is the correct play.
Well, you say it might be hard for H2K come back. We actually opened the floor over to the viewers and asked to ask something to the desk, and we have a tweet from Josh AJ Doan rather. How important is the mental game in a best of 5, and who will have the stronger mental game? You're calling it pretty much for OG at this point. I also remember that from a misplay in the bottom, or a failed trade where Kalista ended up 2 kills, you said this might be the deciding fight for the entire series. I'd love to get your more perspective on the mental aspect of this.
I mean, the mental aspect is H2K is still fairly new compared to OG, because we talked about this. OG has like 86 playoffs games under their belt combined, and they're not players that are affected by mental. They know they have strong mental fortitude. We know that because we have seen them over and over again at Worlds, at pressure situations, how well they do. And I think it just OG has a stronger mental game in probably all of the series. And I think H2K, they can still maybe come back, but I feel like they're outfigured. I don't think they have anything up in their pockets to like pull out or something, and I think they put their entire strategy in both these games, and I don't think they will put out something new that we can see that maybe will give them a win.
Well, something that they could have done was put in Betongjok, of course, in this decider game, but it is going to be Lulex for Game 3 again. And honestly, he did have a better game in Game 2, in my opinion. And they had some strong individual performances as well. Ryu, who actually always delivers, but as a team, it's just not working.
Yeah, something's just not quite right with, specifically up against Origen. They seem to just have the number. And you talked about Lulex having a better game. He did. He didn't die for pretty much 20 minutes of the game. The problem was, at the same time, Amazing was doing more on the map. Amazing was getting in the fight, setting up the rest of his team, and setting up the snowball that Origen needed to take the game through. So if Lulex can step it up again in Game 3, they still have a shot, but that window is closing very quickly.
I mean, I talked about it before the game, how the jungle matchup should go, and I think those two games have been like perfect distribution of how well the jungle matchup is skilled out, because we have seen the Rek'Sai vs Gragas reverse matchup right now, and Amazing seems to just be a better jungler in that series, and he has been dictating the early game. He has been setting up Soaz with that first blood in the top lane to actually do fairly well against the Shen, shuts down the complete TP advantage from Shen and the global pressure, and then snowballs the game through that with Vision and Mithy together. So I think Amazing is just doing like a way better job at providing early game pressure, ganks, out-farms Lulex, and even in teamfights, he's doing all the job at engaging. I mean, it's just, yeah.
I would also like to add, the simple fact is, if the enemy team have this matchup like Kalista Janna, it's the strongest bot lane 2v2 in the game probably. And with this in mind, the enemy jungler should not spend time in this lane. You cannot possibly gank it, and in a 3v3 situation you're gonna get destroyed, as you saw in the game. And with that in mind, I feel like the idea that H2K had coming into this game was fundamentally wrong. That they wanted to play around the bot lane. It feels like almost as if Kassing and Janan just told Lulex what to do, like we are getting destroyed in bot lane, we need help. And it doesn't really work that way in this level of play. They need to take a calm look at the game and just look, oh, we can gank the Shen, we can snowball the Shen, make him push out the lane, alright, we can Shen ult bottom, alright, that's the game plan. But it was clearly lacking in this game.
Finally, very short, you came back from an 0-2 deficit versus UOL, even though in the end it wasn't that good. You did come back 2 games. Can you tell me one line you would say to H2K or to your team to keep your head in the game?
Well, I'm a person that takes everything step by step. Every game step by step, every scrim step by step. Everything has equal importance. And being in a best of 5, you should not look in the back, look in the future or look in the past. And with that in mind, game by game, take it easy and just throw in a little bit of Al Pacino speech and it's fine.
Well, okay, I hope we hear that one day from you, but we'll see if Probably did that for H2K. It's time to draft for Game 3, so let's hand it over to the casters and load up on those picks and bans.
Thank you very much, Analyst Des, for potentially the final game in the European semi-final here. Origen are 2-0 up against H2K. They are back on the red side. Their blue side strategy of only banning 2 champions, not 3. You could argue it gave them Kalista. Maybe left the final pick. Do you ban Elise? Do you ban Kalista? H2K opted for Elise, and it didn't work out.
I mean, Origen won that game with only 2 bans. So I really think H2K should just throw it over completely. Change everything. Just change literally every ban. Throw them out. Try to find an opening. Say, Lulex, what do you want to play? Make it super comfortable champion, and then just go for something with aggression. Because if we go into the mid game even, Origen has shown to be the better mid game team.
And right now, Origen is just gonna ban the same: Sivir, Kalista, Thresh. No reason to change. No reason to give a first pick over to H2K, a team who uses Sivir so effectively. So far, same bans, no adaptation. On either side. Obviously, Origen doesn't have to change anything. They've been doing just fine.
Last 2 bans from Game 1 was Elise, then Thresh. We will see an adaptation from H2K.
Yeah.
Don't want to run the risk of another Lulu performance from FLICKR or Soaz, and it's taken off the table.
Amazing what's doing just fine on junglers that are not Elise. So worst case scenario for H2K, he does well on Elise, but then he's still doing well. So good thing shutting down that Lulu. Maybe a first pick Shen to at least force Soaz on a different champion in this series. See if they can cook up something. Probably can. Soaz has incredible deep champion pools usually in playoffs. A couple of wonky champs in there too, but he always finds something.
Yeah, Soaz, neither of these top laners have necessarily been responsible for carrying this series. It feels like it's been more about the AD role in terms of finishing it. But we have seen Soaz playing from behind, as he's the one that has suffered in early. And there's that Shen takeaway, as you thought about, Grappa.
Still a flex pick for H2K, but yeah, Soaz really been having a fantastic performance in this series here. Even when being put behind, he makes the best out of it. so annoying in the late game team fights. Elise locked in, okay, let's see what Amazing can do. This is again why I prefer in a best out of 5 situation, if you have a pick like Elise and you're not 100% sure if Origen will use it and how they want to use it, you leave it open for game 1. You see what happens, and then you adapt up and say, okay, he was 20-0. I mean, that guy destroyed the game on Elise. We ban it from now on, instead of banning it from the start, and then risk you have to adapt later, and now give it over, and you don't really know what Amazing is going to offer.
One quick thoughts as well. Odo Wamne could also pick a different champion up top. Kasing has played that Shen support in the past, so there is a little element of flex in there.
I wouldn't mind to see Janna come in for H2K and they start running Protect the AD carry comps. They are so good at playing around Yanan. At the same time, when you face Elise, you know there's no hard engage on a jungle position, so that moves it over to other roles. Alistar is there, but a Janna composition where you protect the AD carry can become very difficult for Origen then to start engaging on. Instead though, we're going back to game 1 basically.
Yeah, Lulix does not want to sacrifice too much of his early jungle, so he picks another aggressive jungler. A couple that are left are, for example, Nidalee that you could play, goes for the Lee Sin. It's all about who finds whoever first in the jungle. If Lee Sin does get the engage on Elise, maybe he can do something. If Elise gets the jump on Lee Sin, he's gonna go down immediately. He has to run away. Has almost no return damage. Incredibly hard to land that Q amongst the Spiderlings too. But so far, whenever we've seen Elise in Europe, junglers have failed to really achieve anything in the first 15 minutes. And that's where she shines. That's where you really have to use that, you know, leveled up Cocoon right now. On rank 1, it has an incredibly long CC duration. Soaz is thinking very hard.
Looks a little uncomfortable, but doesn't really need to be. 2-0 up. Even if H2K decide to flex a carry up top, the Olaf did not work for Odo Wamne in game 1. Poor decision making and poor engages. Origen, and we'll go to a comfort pick for FLICKR once again on Ari. And it will be the Kog'Maw for Niels as well.
Not sure if I like Kog'Maw with what the rest of the composition is building towards from Origen. You have like this aggressive jungler that likes making picks, you have this mid laner that likes making picks, and then you have this low mobility AD carry that kind of wants to take a very slow approach to the game. Yeah, sure, he is your late game insurance, but why not go all out on that strategy, pick something more aggressive? Say you run a Tristana here that can really value more of these picks, obviously with the reset, gives you more mid-game power in this lineup from H2K. You can already tell, if you beat it in the mid-game, you've won the game. Yeah,
and also just to go back to Tristana pick here, that's an AD carry who can handle herself. Yeah. You can let her farm on her own, you can have your support start roaming with the Elise pick, and that's how you can start making plays in the mid-game. Instead though, we might see Shen go down to the support role, and then we get a Fizz up top for Odo Wamne, and you start seeing if H2K can snowball him. In the summer split, we haven't seen him being like the massive carry too often compared to the spring split. Instead, there's going to be Fizz mid. So AP Fizz coming in for Ryu to try and beat out FLICKR now in this TP Ari in the mid lane.
Played it twice in summer, undefeated, 13-1-9 with Ryu on that champion. There is the Maokai that we were talking about earlier today. And Origen, how do they respond with the damage from mid and the tank up top?
Well, they obviously respond by picking their top laner. FLICKR took the bullet for his team and said, okay, I will sacrifice my counter pick in the mid lane. With Ari, I'm confident on this champion in any matchup. Therefore, Soaz gets his counter pick. He has to make this work, though. This has to pay off because he has full information on what H2K's lineup is, and it's very clear what their goal in the game will be.
And it's such a scary lineup for H2K. They can snowball so fast against you. When you have that Shen support, you always got to be so careful in the early fights because he can join in so easily. Corki is one of the best AD carries with him because he can sit on his own after level 6 and just sit and farm. So Shen is free to go to other lanes. Origen is saying we don't want to try and match what split push is going to happen with the Fizz going one lane on the AP scaling and then the Shen being able to join in. So we're going to look more pure team fight with our top lane pick at least.
Now with this Rumble locked in, if a lane swap happens and Origen take the same approach, I want to see if H2K have learned from it. Especially in the phase where Soaz goes to pick up that wave again in a different lane than usual. He doesn't get the bounce wave going towards him. Rumble, when punished early, can fall behind very quickly and get snowballed upon. So we'll need to see Amazing help Soaz out because the 2v2 damage potential from Rumble and Elise is incredibly high.
And now we also need to see FLICKR. You can already see on your screen changing away from teleport because this mid lane matchup, when two assassins goes against each other, one early kill can snowball it completely in one favor. So you need early pressure in the lane. Also probably expecting to see H2K put focus on Ryu. You have the Lee Sin for the early game, you have the Shen support. There are enough tools to make sure Ryu has a fantastic early game. Then you put him in the side lane later. And Fizz his scaling one-on-one is stupid. Like, it is so strong in the late game when it comes to that. You have the Maokai in the other lane, you have the Shen support to back it up. Beautiful setup if it gets rolling from H2K. That's the big if here, if it gets rolling.
Pretty big if, considering some of the mistakes we've seen from H2K in the previous 2 games. For the last potential time today, jump on Twitter and let us know. Will Origen close this out in 3 with the hashtag OG win, or will H2K give us a few more games in their first European semi-final? Hashtag H2K win. The pressure is on, and it's up to H2K to not crack underneath it, with Ryu at the helm.
And this guy right here, Kasing, he's looking for a good performance. Initially lauded as one of the best supports in Europe, but so far in the first 2 games, hasn't quite left his mark. Seemed to be a little confused as well. Flash, depth shard from Nautilus, it just wasn't coming out, like nothing was tying together for H2K, and he was forced in these very weird plays, a couple forced engages, so perhaps he can do better on this Shen.
And let's talk about what happens for H2K if they fall behind early game. Because yeah, it can look awesome if they get this early lead, if they get to 1-3-1, Corki sitting in mid lane, open up the Shen to teleport around. That can work. If you start falling behind, however, your only wave clear is the Corki.
Yep.
It's gonna move to the mid lane. It's gonna be so hard for you to set up split pushes in time because Origen has such a strong team fight and a lot of catch potential in the Elise and the Ahri together. So if they start just grouping around objectives and you have to react and 5-on-5 them too early, it's gonna be so difficult for H2K.
I just want to keep my eyes on Amazing and Mythy. They've shown to have great synergy together so far in terms of vision. However, with Cocoon and Pulverize follow-up, they could be an incredibly lethal roam squad.
I really think that's been the highlight of this series. How the lane swap from H2K is the standard European one where you fast push down the tower. So you very quickly return to standard lanes. And because, as you mentioned earlier, they failed to punish Source when he returned to the lanes, we got standard lanes very quickly. That's where Mythy and Amazing shine in terms of setting up ganks, setting up vision, compared to what we've seen from Lulex and Kasing together. The synergy is just not the same. And that's also why Origen has had a good early game in the last 2 games.
Unlike the last 2 games, gentlemen, it does not look like we will have that lane swap in place. You can see Amazing on his blue buff. Soaz has been in the top for at least this first wave, as Odawamne will clear out one of those camps before backing. So he should make it up to lane in the not too distant future. Standard lanes, and we'll see whether or not Amazing can have an impact. Down bottom.
Now Mythy, he started with Pulverize, which means he doesn't have heal. They're trying to pull the minions here. They're trying to force Yarn to attack in the minion wave, so the enemy minions obviously attack him. This forces the lane to push even more. You get the wave quicker in your tower. However, in this matchup, I think it's very obvious that it's going to play out this way. Perhaps it would have been wiser for Mythy to start heal. Just take a defensive approach, just get that Karma to level 6 and start winning this matchup. Right now, not too much is going to happen. They've yielded the pressure. They'll hit level 2, maybe even level 3 by the time Origen hit level 2 themselves, but not too much action is going on. Standard lanes, however, which means we have to follow Amazing. Is he going to find an opening?
Look at these junglers. Elise was banned twice, game 1 and game 2 against him. Gonna have the top lane for himself, can look for the Rift Scuttle as well. Top lane is pushing with the Maokai against Source. That could be the first gank after red buff for Amazing.
So Amazing goes in the river, puts an early Trinket Ward just to spot potential Scuttle Crab clear. Right, Lulex wants to get that information. Just compare the health bars right now. This is the difference between Elise. Amazing still has potions. Lulex is on his last one. He is half HP after smiting that red buff, but Elise is such a sustainable jungler because she just doesn't drop low in the jungler. This makes for very unpredictable gank timings. You can have the standard 330 gank around the mid lane. You also keep farming and get a slightly later gank somewhere else.
And Amazing gonna secure Rift Scuttler once he spots it. And then he's trying to sneak around the potential ward in the tri-bush you normally place as a top laner, but Odon has adapted to it slightly. He knows his mid lane is being pushed in, so there's the opportunity of Amazing taking the river route to top, and therefore places the ward between the 2 entrances towards his lane.
Very smart play from the top laners, but we continually see this bottom lane being shoved in. Niels down half the CS of Hyanin, and still under pressure, waiting for those levels, waiting to spam.
And that is mainly the result of starting Pulverize and hoping for some good RNG on the couple first minions. However, as we go longer in this laning phase, the sustain from Alistar does put that lane back on equal footing, especially once you start pushing out. Once the E connects, obviously Karma and Trade has to be scared of the taunt, but this should still be a relatively safe lane. Should any side engage, supports will nullify that with counter engage. It's fun to watch, but I'm still waiting for that first gank from Amazing. He's now taking his first base just now, compared to Lux, who had to base a lot earlier, but no early ganks from either jungler.
Tough for him to gank anything with Odoamne starting the camp, get an early ward. That's still the one you see in the river here, covering both ways Amazing could gank. So had no opportunity to go for the top lane. And mid lane, PEKKA had shoved it in and early back for a second Doran's ring. So there's not any openings for Amazing early on. So you just go back to your jungle. You start looking around the map. Second Rift Scarf, they're still alive.
For all the pain that Niels felt earlier, slowly getting a little bit more control in this lane, or at least to push it out. We do see that Ryu's been shoved in the early levels by the range.
Both junglers are coming into the bot lane.
See how this plays out. Taunt does catch Mithy. Sonic Wave may be blocked by those minions, so Lulex unable to connect. The Cocoon does though! Defensive flash from Lulex. After both junglers show up, it's a summon spell down for Lulex.
Engage onto the support first of all, in the minion wave as well for H2K. Zero vision of where Amazing could be or information. Gets turned around and Lulex early flash gone now. That can be very, very important for the next few minutes. If he gets caught in a 2v2 fight against Amazing, he might just go down due to not having any flash. He needs to dodge that Cocoon to remove some of the, or avoid a lot of the damage incoming.
And this again is Amazing, reading the game slightly better, or at least reading what Lulex is doing in his jungle and adapting accordingly. Amazing realized he couldn't really gank anywhere as you explained earlier, therefore he goes for the counter gank on bot lane. Facilitates that lane. Yes, Niels was out of mana, but by Hurricane Barrage, it costs no mana, so Niels can always threaten with the follow-up poke here. Meanwhile, Soaz surviving in the top lane.
It actually caught out. Low on mana. We did see Niels landing the taunt. Here comes Amazing. 3v2 connection with the Cocoon. Kasing's going down. Ignite's burning. Amazing gets first blood. The Spiderlings are tanking the turret, but a TP from Odoamne will get a reply kill at the cost of the Summoner.
Amazing deciding to say, I'm just going to go all in for this one. He knows he's going to die, but at least, as you said, he blows the TP, gets first blood for himself. Lane going to push back down to Nielsen. You can see how Niels in terms of damage, as long as their Buster Bomb doesn't connect from Yanan, there's not really anything he can do. With the long range from Niels just constantly poking away, and then with the Alistar heal coming in as well.
The best thing about this matchup, even if you fall slightly behind, you don't get punished as hard. Because traditionally, if Niels would be down like 10 CS at the 45 mark against a traditional AD carry, he would be facing a BF sword. However, right now he may be just a component behind in the race to Triforce, and he can easily manage that lane. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Soa's got more breathing room because teleport was obviously used by Odoamne, but still that first blood went on Amazing. He now procured a lot more vision for himself, got some couple extra wards. So overall, this is very much so in favor for Origen.
And H2K is swapping Corki to the top side. That opens up for Kasing to start roaming. They need to get level 6 on him as fast as possible, or find Amazing.
They have found him. He's been taunted. Sonic Wave connects. The exhaust is out, but that's a two-man knockup. Mythy's in the area. He's responded with his jungler, and PEKKA with Amazing find their second kill. Soaz teleports in. He burns down Kasing's hopes, and PEKKA gets the kill credit.
And where was Ryu in that fight? You can't go for that play if you're down teleport unless your mid laner is ready to move first. No communication by H2K. Fantastic reaction there by Origen though, and really good controlled fight. Sloppy fight by H2K.
And Elise damage.
Yeah.
Welcome to Elise. She's now in the game. Amazing. Finally gets her hands on it, and we just see the turnaround. No flash for Lulex. Couldn't dodge anything. Again though, Mythy is so good at reading as well what's going on in the map. He had recalled, walked from base to join Amazing to first of all go in and start setting up some deep vision. At the same time, that makes sure in case Kasing is roaming around, he can then counter it. Look at him coming behind Amazing here.
Yeah, but look at the miscommunication. Ryu could have been in this fight a lot quicker. He's now dueling Expecke. You saw him even on the minimap move to the right. That means he queued a creep. Ryu was queuing a creep in the mid lane while his team was fighting for that pick.
It's so tricky though, because PEKKA, as you saw with his ulti, you can't just like straight up ignore him, and at the same time TP coming down from source. I think honestly just H2K, once they engaged in that fight, they had to either react instantly, and then I still think Origen could have responded with PEKKA coming in maybe a little bit later and then TP.
But that play wasn't set up out of thin air. It was like, hey guys, we just happened to be around this corner baiting. It was very obviously he was going for this, and yeah, Origen as a team just seemed much better prepared for things that they weren't expecting. And especially much better prepared for H2K as a whole because they've been predicting them across the board. Games 1 and 2, predicting the map moves, predicting the lane swaps. Right now, counter gank from Amazing earlier on Lulex too. Just very, very good game reads here by Origen.
And that swap top lane with Yana and Kasing was just to set up that potential gank in the mid lane. So that it opened up the support to roam, gank mid and then return to lane and get you level 6 and you can start using the global. But that has been shut down because Origen has put attention on the bottom lane to keep Kasing down, and of course because they were slightly behind in the start.
I really like this triple pink ward combo from Origen as well. Just one over the wall.
Great job.
From XPK, doesn't juke the fish though.
Here's Mithy once more.
Emergency cow comes in.
Talking about Mithy in terms of his roam with the combo of Amazing. 2-1-1 on this jungle Elise. Fan vote continues to grow. Origen have got leads in every category except the objectives right now.
And just look at how comfortably Niels is farming alone on the bot lane. He's just fine playing, or letting his team play the map 4 against 5 at the other side. He's slowly farming up. And that's why Origen can shift their vision to the left side of mid lane defensively. If you ward over the wall, it will be spotted with a pink ward. If you ward in Pixel Rush, it will be spotted by a pink ward. If somehow you get into our jungle, we have another pink ward. So there's no opportunities for picks on the left side of the map for H2K, which means they kind of have to rotate downwards and get to Niels, who can just safely farm from such a great distance using that Kog'Maw ultimate.
I like the Cinderhole coming in for Amazing, using the early kills, not saying I'm not going to go Rune Glaive and trying to just focus purely on the early game and get a bit more burst damage. Instead, Cinderhole does offer you way more in the late game. Going to tank the route, obviously the Cocoon is the main thing in terms of CC. But I like this more because your early game is already so strong on the Elites.
Definitely agree. If you're running triple carry, there's no need to make a fourth. Just become somewhat of a tank and CC bot with more Cocoons.
I think it's been started by Origen. There doesn't seem to be any contest from H2K. Gentlemen, a lane that we've not looked at all is the top lane. We do see that Lulex is going to show his face. I'm not really hopeful on a tower dive here on Soaz. Let's see if they can play it out. Soaz falling a little bit behind in CS. Teleport not available, whereas Odo1 does have his.
You have to remember Shen is level 6 now. In case a dive does happen, it can be 3v1 from H2K. Origen needs to respect this and either have a cross-map play ready where they're taking a bot lane tower if Shen leaves, or just have the backup cow ready. Mithy is already roamed again. Early Moby boots, ignored the side stone just to keep roaming around the map.
But look at how Ryu, he left the lane twice in mid lane. He was stopped by a pink ward, went back, cleared a wave. Then he left again for potential roam on top. Stopped by another pink ward. These pink wards are buying time for Soaz to survive and scale up in that top lane. Right now, teleport timings are about to equal out, so teleport advantage on Odo1 that was not used to create a play. So we're even again, and yeah, in this series so far, whenever we've been even, OG have been getting ahead.
And Origen climbed to a 4,500 gold lead in game 2 of this series. Ryu is going to play full Trickster aggressively. I think the Charm missed there. Chum the Waters doesn't. Ryu gone in for the Ignite. Flash forward. Urchin strike. FLICKR gets burned down. And there's an assist for Mithy as he finishes the stand United. Oh, gonna taunt onto Mithy. Unbreakable Will comes out. 2-man knockup. Ryu takes a turret hit. One more auto attack. Playful Trickster's away. Ryu's still alive.
Niels is coming for the flank though. Bottom right of your screen.
Let's find out if he can get there.
Sniper.
Sniping. Voidu's flash forward. That does count. Kill credit goes to Amazing. Cocoon into knockup. Double kill for the Amazing. Origen 5-3 up. And they hold the gold lead despite being down in towers.
Slight misplay from Pekka in the mid lane, missed the charm after Ryu had already gone aggressive, meant that Ryu could go for the kill. But once again, Origen is roaming around the map so well. They were just topside. Odo1 is dancing around with Soaz a little bit, and then Soaz like
acting. He got the Oscar. He's like, guys, I disconnected. Nope, did not.
This is pretty exciting.
Where is this going, actually?
I think Soaz is about to die.
Pretty sure Soaz dies, yeah, in the very end. But didn't even get to see it, poor Soaz.
Odo1 gets cut down. You can see the death count there for Soaz. So 1v1 by a tree. It's not something you hear every day of the week.
So let's look at around this mid lane. We mentioned how assassin versus assassin can snowball so heavily. Ryu got that one kill for himself, but still been falling behind. Tried to roam out a few times, didn't work, been ganked. Mithy's been there so many times. Mithy so far in this game, just everywhere together with Amazing. These two guys together, that synergy is what H2K is lacking so much in these standard lanes.
And we heard Niels talk about it earlier in the video feature, where he was saying he felt he could learn more in a combination with Mithy. You do see, though, some pressure. Ryu's going to connect with Chum the Waters, equalizes out. Soaz is in place, but Amazing gets dropped down. It's Yana that gets the kill credit. Flame Spitter is hurting. But what will this cost H2K? They're setting up a gank up top as well. Taunt doesn't connect, and FLICKR Spirit rushes away. Blue buff stolen, and a kill for H2K.
H2K slowly getting these picks that they're looking for. See if he can play ping pong here with Ryu.
Gonna find him once. Early on the pulverize. Caster Curse comes into play. Ryu still sticking around. Mithy forced to use the Unbreakable Will. There's no tower to fall back to. We're gonna cut to mid lane as Niels has run out of mana. Lulix has execute potential, maybe gone in. He gets it. Will the Acapian surprise kill? No, because Lulix dashes out. 6-6 in kills.
Going a little bit solo queue right here for both teams. A lot of small fights happening. Nils was pushing and taking the mid tower. That was good. In the end, though, he goes down to Lulix, so still he gets a tower for it. You can call Worth on that one, but then Mithy's misplay results in him dying down the bottom side. And H2K responding quite well, getting a lot of kills for themselves.
Yeah. Should have been an extra kill on the side of Origen if that Pulverize connected. That again would have given teleport advantage too, as well as Soaz. He's being comfortable right now. He's still okay in this game. He's been playing from a bit from behind every game so far, managed to even it out. He has teleport advantage right now. Very chaotic map, so you could technically get a lot of kills of one good teleport because it's so hard to predict at this point. It's easy to predict when lanes are very stale, and one opening means teleport's going to come out, as the crowd really likes those small minions being killed.
Counts, man. Gives you a lot of gold. H2K, they've clawed back the gold deficit. Origen did claw back the tower deficit. So we're going even as we're approaching 20 minutes. But in game one, it was a similar story, and Origen punished H2K's engages. H2K need to get their head together and on the same page if they want to engage with Maokai, with Fizz, with Lee Sin, and make it work in this game.
And that's why H2K is not going to look to 5-on-5 engage right now.
Dead.
They are looking instead to let Ryu be the split pusher. And Niels...
How did Ryu get in there? There's two wards around that brush. Were at least. Double check that.
I think the wave was pushed up and he just walked in and he just waited for Niels to push the wave back out towards him, and then he just killed him.
Yeah, false sense of security here with all the wards. That's exactly what happened. Ryu just moved in from the side and he hit that burst that was protected by both wards.
Boys, in picks and bans, you both talked about the 1-3-1 potential. Putting Corki mid, letting Maokai and Ryu play the side lanes. That is exactly what is happening for H2K. In a turret will get chunked to below half health, and there's an exposed mid lane turret. Now FLICKR, he may get dope. He's rooted, he's knocked up, and that's a kill. Stand United is still available if H2K need it, and they're grouped for middle.
Very greedy from Expected to hold his flash here. He could have flashed Art out, brought the 3 all the way to his base. Just wasn't expecting the follow-up taunt flash from Kassin. Good read. The knockup from Oduwamna's Q was just long enough to connect that taunt. Really, really crucial pick-off.
We really see how strong the 1-3-1 is going to be for H2K, because nothing is going to stop Ryu. That means you always have one lane pushing. The other 2 lanes just got to try and match him in terms of minion waves, and then you start getting these roams between the lanes where instead of you having to like take the long route down the river, you can just walk straight through the enemy jungle, you start diving them on the towers. Origen needs to be as a unit and fight, but they might not get a chance outside of this push on the mid lane.
Yeah, Ryu split pushing in that bot lane is very reminiscent of Shao Spring Split 2014. Back in the day when he did that on LeBlanc, just continuously putting pressure as a mid laner in the bot lane. Just keeping people locked down and then eventually roaming to the mid lane for a flank and a pick-off. That could be the ticket for H2K to take finally one game in this best of 5 series.
And it looked so bad in the start. Amazing at 4 early kills, Mithy was roaming everywhere, and then suddenly it seems like Origen lost the focus maybe a little bit, and H2K got a few easy kills around the blue buff, around the top side, and that's all they needed to set up this 1-3-1. Ryu managed to solo kill FLICKR as well. Solo kill, he had Shen. Shen was there too.
Now yet again, Lux is copy-pasting the wrong build here. Double Ruby Crystal, double Null Magic Mantle, no Sidestone though. You would expect in a 1-3-1 matchup where the lanes are so push-dependent that you could ward in between these lanes. You could get so much access to free deep vision that you can then use to make even more picks. However, Lulix says, I don't need wards to really hop to, I will just upgrade my trinket. That'll be sufficient. not sure if I quite agree.
Well, talking about sufficient, I want something that's efficient. I'd like to see the Aegis interlocker with all of the magic damage threats from OG. A lot of power. Oduwame picked up his Righteous Glory. He will have teleport shortly. And talking about the teleports, we've not seen Soaz be very impactful with those teleports yet. He does have Haunting. He does have Sorkshu. So AP is continuing to stack, continuing to build up. And Soaz's equalizers could be game-changing if H2K have a group.
And the way these builds are shaping out to be, I don't see any other direction these support jungler combos are going on the side of H2K. Then a double Aegis, which means we will likely see one banner of command, probably on the Shen, which will make that 1-3-1 even more volatile. You know, adding another minion in there that's magic immune against the composition, as you just mentioned, from Origen that has magic damage on all 5 sources. Kog'Maw has physical damage, but a great part of his poke initially is magic damage, so very, very efficient Aegis will be picked up.
And Yanin is gonna have one of those fun AD carry games where your team is like, can you just wave clear mid?
Yeah.
Don't move, just sit mid.
PvE, League of Legends.
Just clear the waves over and over, and then once we've pushed our side lanes, we're gonna move into the mid lane and babysit you and kill whoever's standing there looking scary in front of you, and then you can take the tower. That is the role of the AD carry in a 1-3-1 setup. It's not always too exciting, but if you have good side lanes, it can work wonders.
And a fed Ryu and a fed Oduwame is exactly what H2K need. Is it Providence that they have 3 kills and they are down the potential 3-0? They need to win this 3rd game if they want to keep their hopes alive to make it to playoffs.
No hourglass yet for Soaz. Look for Ryu to just try and dive in with the Shen TP. They can go for that one so easy. They're going in.
Chum the Waters doesn't connect. It will buy the tower though.
However, what is missing here for H2K is that tier 1 tower. It's still at 95% HP. Stellar job from Origen keeping that one alive, because if that falls, that opens up the map so much more. Here, H2K are already getting tier 2 towers across the board before that mid lane is actually sees open. Oduwame though, going in with Shen piggyback.
Well, if an H2K tree falls in the woods, does an Origen fan scream hooray? No, because the tree stays alive. We do see a back away there as Amazing is coming from the jungle. Soaz teleports in, he's holding on to Equalizer. Too far back, H2K may not be able to defend. Ryu is pushing down in the bottom lane though, as the tower needs a few more hits. It is secured.
So a very big wave Origen took down towards this tower here. H2K reacting way too late with enough members. Lulix was kind of stuck between mid and bot lane. Ryu doesn't really need your assistance when you have a Shen ulti. Instead, Origen.
Flash Cocoon goes between the uprights. Oduwame screams, you will not block this one. And he flashes defensively.
This play costs Origen a lot of time though. If they can be zoned out here long enough, this could open up a potential siege in the mid lane. But Ryu can't keep Xpeke down because he based actually. So Xpeke should be able to arrive in the mid lane long enough to keep that tier 1 tower alive. And that's really what Origen want to keep doing for as long as they can. Because otherwise this split push will be a lot more lethal.
For H2K, they still maintain an even game. We're 23 minutes in. And the split push is playing in their favor. Oduwame now has teleport advantage. Lacking flash, and Dragon is up in a minute. Origen had decent vision in the bottom half of the jungle a few minutes ago, but it has since timed out. And we'll need to see who's going to challenge for the next objective.
I want to see where they send Ryu as well. Does H2K care about a Dragon coming up? Because then they would keep him on the bottom side to apply pressure. Or do you go for that next tier 2 tower and the Baron control, which is what H2K can start playing around. Ryu is the man to watch. He's going top now, so I think this is the smartest, because 1-2 picks and you can easily rotate into Baron very early on.
Lulix, in the meanwhile, adding to his mineral collection. 3rd Ruby Crystal. Should we call the minerals? Coming in. I wonder where he's going with this. Really likes his HP. I would like him to just see. I mean, 400 gold. One of those rubies should have been a side stone. So much value and vision right now. More so than items. If you run a pick composition, it's all about finding that favorable engage, to finding that one window where you kick somebody forward. It's not about tanking 180 more damage overall, in my opinion. So definitely weird to see him take that approach.
Oh, Ryu needs to be a little bit careful. You don't really E in that aggressive.
Let's get caught by the cocoon. Niels needs to be way more careful. Oduwame is going to jump him. Get the knock-up. Here comes the support from H2K.
There's this flash. He's waiting for the fish animation to come out.
Oh, late fish. Actually going to get caught by the cow. Oduwame is now still in the front line. Ryu's low on mana. Let's see how many spells he can still get off. Peke and Amazing hanging out in the tri-bush. Niels gets out, but it costs both his summoners.
Soaz had to roam from the top lane all the way down. He had no TP, but Lulix had to go from the base as well. So 2 guys were missing, and instead the ulti gone from Rio removes a lot of his flanking potential when it comes to one-shotting one of these carries. Remember, he gets that extra damage buff. It is so important to connect the ulti when it comes to one-shotting targets as the AP Fizz. That one being down means also the Origen can now get a bit of control around the Dragon. We might just see H2K say, you know what, peace out, we're not going to even contest.
And obviously, split push compositions are traditionally weaker in team fights. That's why they're kind of giving up.
Yeah, amazing down to 50%. Nifty.
Focus working out.
They can fight this one with your H2K. They got Shen ulti in base now.
Lulix is finally flanking with the Shen on top of that. That could have finally be the opening they're looking for in all these games. Fish is about to come up for Ryu as well. Slowly posturing out. Origen have to have this figured out though. They have to proceed with caution.
Origen done a very good job setting up side lanes though to push down. So H2K have to start the Dragon and then back away. They won't really be able to get anything. FLICKR is here though with ulti. They're setting up, trying to catch someone. Charm missing, amazing on the way back. Poor Dragon just stuck in the middle.
Equalizer's still available here for Soaz. The Dragon's finally been committed and focused. Here comes Origen. Unbreakable wheels out.
H2K down.
They get the Dragon with FLICKR down. Can Origen still survive? Niels is low mobility. He's no mobility because he's in a grave. Amazing's fed. He's got another kill. He's gone golden. That's Soaz rather. Soaz is down. 1 for 4. It's not done yet. Triple kill for Hyonin. He gets cocooned. Ryu gets the ace. H2K are fighting.
What a fantastic fight here by H2K, mainly because they caught FLICKR going in. They saw the fish in a barrel in the Dragon Pit, but then they got caught. Twisted Advance came forward. Mithy couldn't connect his stun, and somehow H2K, with a split push composition, win that team fight, mainly due to a bit of too greedy of an engage. Orange should have waited. Stuck onto the guns. Let's watch that again.
Yeah, look at it again. Mithy going in at first, popping his ult, but FLICKR is following him, walking straight into H2K. Didn't do anything. That takes him down. Now there's no damage left because Niels drops as the second one. Beautiful from H2K and poor positioning from Origen.
3-man kick from Lulix. 2-man taunt at least from Kasing following up. So finally the synergy that was lacking game 1, game 2, the engages that were going poorly are finally working in H2K's favor. In addition to that, they pick up some of these big waves on the side lanes. Comfortable Lyria now, suddenly 3,400 gold ahead.
Also Baron buff on a 1-3-1 team composition, and Kasing got enough gold to complete his banner of command against all of the magic damage from Origen. H2K have done great at earning this lead. Now they need to demonstrate they can push the lanes to close the game out.
Now we talked about a lack of wave clear on Origen's side, or on H2K's side, but there is a lot of harder wave clear on Origen now that these minions have been buffed. With the Baron buff, obviously take a lot less AoE magic damage, especially the Banner of Command minion is immune to magic damage, so we might finally see some towers going down. 1 remaining in the top lane, 2 remaining in the mid lane, so this could be another big gold spike on the back of that Baron for H2K.
H2K will secure the outer turret uncontested. Continuing to grow the lead. We did see... Wow, that's a flash forward! Oda1 is called FLICKR. Amazing! Tries to get the venomous bite, but it's Hyonin. That's 505. Inner turret is being focused. Equalizer just for wave clear. Those minions last for such a long time. Few more hits on the tower. Hyonin's taking a lot of damage. He's backed away.
Big fan of Oda1 and this Maoka here when it comes to engaging onto FLICKR on this Ahri. They're forcing Origen into team fights now, and they have so much pick potential because they got so far ahead from that last fight and the Baron, and lock down FLICKR every single time. He's building, obviously the death cap is full squishy.
The fish has found Niels! There's the Stand United from Mithy! Niels is out! The cocoon connects onto Ryu, but the damage is already done. H2K had their backs against the wall. They were down 0-2, and now they are breaking Origen's base wide open. Inhibitor follows the fight.
7-0-5 on Hyonin. What a stellar performance. What he couldn't do in the first game and even in the second game, he finally managed to deliver and show why he's still one of the best carries in Europe in that 80 carry position. Completely outclassing Niels right now, who's still waiting to scale. Amazing drops.
His team is doing such a good job though, just setting up Hyonin for the damage and the kills basically. They're locking down targets, they burst them, he just pops in, fires a few times, gets the kill for himself. He's been there, you know, just backbone the wave clear sitting in mid lane, and now he's just getting all the kills in the fights.
With 1 Baron buff, H2K have already secured 2 inhibitors. It's about to time out, and there's a big minion wave pushing up to the top tower. They elect to not push it in. and maintain this fantastic gold lead at the 30-minute mark.
Even though we're running a very distinct 1-3-1 composition, we expect a lot of small skirmishes, which usually reduces kill participation across the board. There's some pretty high kill participation numbers across the board here for H2K. Oduamne involved in 13 out of 17 kills, for example. Kjaren, 13 out of 17 kills. So they're still managing to find a way to group efficiently after split pushing these waves. That might be the ticket to fight Origen in the next few games.
This game, their Ari pick for Peck has really been punished by H2K. He had to blind pick it in this one here. Rio responded with the Fizz, got the solo kill against him, and then at the same solo kill, I keep saying that Kasing was there too. The 2v1 kill against him.
Supports don't matter, or what, Pisio?
The support shield really mattered. And then in these fights now, he's not able to find an opening because it's H2K who flash engages with this Maokai and just locks him down.
Despite the standard lane, Soaz on this Rumble has not had the greatest of impact. He's actually 5-0 coming into this game. If H2K closes it out, it'll be the first loss of summer on Rumble for Soaz.
And this was the last pick of this pick and ban phase. Complete counter pick with full information, and Origen could not find a way to make that Rumble pick deliver. You see, not only due to Soaz, just teleport plays, team plays, way to set up the map. Even though Amazing had a fantastic snowball early, he was 4-0 and 1 at one point, I believe. He's now died 5 times, so aggression has been thwarted by H2K.
And that was really the weird thing. Origen had such a strong start. It looked like they were just going to start snowballing out of control, make sure the 1-3-1 would never happen from H2K, and then we just see all these random kills in the jungles where H2K look for them, look for the aggressive play, and it paid off.
Almost Unicorns of Love style, where you bring them down to the chaos and then you beat them by experience. It was a different approach by H2K, and it was needed. If they took the same approach they did game 1 and 2, it wasn't going to work.
Banner command minion.
It's in melee range though. A lot easier to kill that way.
Yeah, does go down, but they get 50% of the turret HP. Ryu has been shoving in that middle lane as best as he can to pull the attention of Origen. And with Soaz peeling away from the tower, Oduamne is going to tank up for a few more hits. H2K playing this by the numbers. They want another tower, another inhibitor, and then they will go for the Nexus.
So easy for H2K though, just to decide where do we want to go. Well, of course, the only tower left with super minions, doing all the work for us, and then Ryu sitting next to these super minions, just being annoying, stopping anyone for Origen to move down and wave clear them before they hit the Nexus turret. Engage from Mythic.
Defense, let's see if it'll work. Kjarn's managed to get away. Soaz will use the Hourglass to avoid Chum the Waters. Ryu finds another one as Niels is focused down. He does take Oduamne with him, but it will not be enough. FLICKR, defensive Spirit Rush. H2K, they will be picking up the game. They will get themselves a triple kill, and despite Soaz running away, he will be unable to defend the base. H2K take the Nexus turret 1, will be taking Nexus turret number 2, and they will be pushing us to game number 4. Eventually. As a reminder, the number 3 seed in the European LCS playoffs has never beaten the number 2 seed.
And Rio was absolutely ecstatic about that win.
H2K
Rio faced no space.
and Prolly, they have one more chance, one more opportunity.
You quoting Eminem here, Trevor?
I'm not, I'm simply stating facts, Crepo.
Well, they still need 2 opportunities if they want to win this best of 5 series. They're now 1 game to 2 for Origen. Origen, they still have the room to adapt here. They obviously see a different style from H2K, different picks coming out. I feel like the Fizz pick was definitely the crux of this composition. Oduamne did well. Kjarnan eventually got to carry with a wave clear 80 carry, but that could have been any 80 carry almost. I really think the Fizz pick from Ryu and allowing Xpeke to be counterpicked by prioritizing his pick in the draft early, I think was a bit of a mistake.
Yeah.
Because Soaz did not deliver with that 5th pick Rumble.
I think that's what Origen will change up in this one. He's saying, okay, now we have seen Ryu have a few pocket picks. We cannot just blind pick an Ari anymore for Pekka and say that's going to be fine lane, no problem at all, because we haven't seen too much happening in that mid lane in the early stages, but the Fizz pick allows Ryu to be more aggressive, so I really like that adaptation. And we mentioned it, how this composition, if it starts to get going from H2K in terms of what they can in 1-3-1, also but how they can engage team fights. So strong. Ryu looked fantastic on the Fizz.
He really did. 5-1 and 8, leading from the front is the only place you can lead from. We're going to head to the analyst desk to take a look at how H2K fought back to stay alive in the semifinals.
Thank you so much. Well, we have a series on our hands. H2K is back in there. I'm going to let you have the floor first because they touched on it already. The Ari pick, obviously, and you were saying it for the last couple of games, but this is where, what, was the pick always faltered and did H2K just play it correctly this time around, or what was the deal?
Like, I'm gonna sound like a one-string banjo, you know, ding, 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 but
like
the thing is, a one-string banjo.
Yeah, I know.
Nah, come on. But the thing is, Ari is not like a pick that you're supposed to blind pick. You can pick so many different champions that can farm safely against Ari. And with that in mind, I want them to pick Oriana there. Good blind pick, doesn't have a lot of counter matchups, is kind of weak to poke, but not that bad. And it would have been good against this Fizz that Mr. Ryu has showed off a lot in the split.
To be fair, I think the Ari pick is just... They thought they have the series already, so they have no reason to show anything else. It's just the best of series strategy, basically, where they had, okay, Ari was doing fine, so we're going to pick it again no matter what. We don't want to show everything because they still have to play potentially Fnatic or Unicorns. And yeah, I think we might see a change of strategy for EG coming into this game. No more Ari blind picks, 100%.
But the thing is, Dexter, Oriana is not like, ooh, damn, Oriana, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, but...
You know? Come on.
I agree with you, but...
Yeah. I agree with you too.
There are points why they would pick the Ari, you know, so...
I think one of the biggest problems, though, is in-game. If you're playing with a champion like Ari, who does rely on gold to snowball, and your jungler gets all of the gold early on, it works well on Elise, don't get me wrong. Elise getting extra damage, extra tankiness is fine, but with an Ari that needs to snowball, I think that is a big pain point there, where you've got so many different options on the map that need gold. If you can't get it spread, it's very difficult to actually play that out.
Something that I would like to highlight as well in terms of the compositions is they had a full magic damage comp, similar to what we did against Unicorns of Love in the second game, where we had a full magic damage composition. And if you do not manage to get ahead simply because you pick these magic damage champions just to have stronger matchups, then the enemy team, even though you're even, their gold is going to have more value because magic resistance is just so more valuable against that composition. And also, Fizz is one of the champions that scales the hardest out of any AP mid laners in the game.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah, I thought you wanted to jump in before he jumped in there.
He got my point
No
already.
problem. So looking at this game, then also the mental aspect, of course, you feel like OG might have more up their sleeves. They just think they had it. I feel like in-game, sometimes it became very solo queue-esque there in the early to mid-game. What do you think that is? Is that overconfidence from the side of OG?
I think it's overconfidence, for sure. I mean, I know the players, and I think they were in a position where they can say, yeah, we beat them at everything they have, so we're just going to play our game, we're going to try stuff, and then if it works, we're going to beat them 3-0. If not, we're just going to go back to our normal strategy and beat them 3-1 next game.
I think the most intriguing thing there is if it is overconfidence that's crept in, it seems to have even perhaps crept in to the rookie on the team of Niels, because that was the most deaths Niels has had in a single game all split with 5, which isn't a massive number, but previously he had only died 3 times maximum in other games. So I wonder whether, as you said, it is the overconfidence. Now, though, is the time where that experience on the rest of the team is going to be necessary to settle it down, because H2K have done this before. Against SK in the 3rd place game, they came back against SK from being 0-2 down, and they took 3rd spot in Madrid. So, I mean, it's not all over yet.
No, let's finally take a look at actually a replay that was very deciding in the game, and I think also exemplifies OG's... Well, they didn't pull off here. They could have just peeled off the dragon in this situation, but they decided not to.
They could have. This was a tough spot to be in, because there was a lot of back and forth before this, but FLICKR being off the map at this point is such a big factor here, because Amazing can't do enough on his own in this fight. That's where all of the gold was at this point in the game, and then H2K, Hyanan just absolutely going ham in this team fight, and the gold just not so useful on Elise in a team fight like that.
Especially like, if you keep in mind, like if you took a look at the Elise build, spell penetration, rumble, spell penetration. When the Aegis comes in, it is just too much value in it. And the thing that we need to highlight is, once again, like, so many trades in the early game. The first blood was a trade. Then we had some more trades at the raid camp. And trades are so good for the H2K side in this game. And I would like to add that I said the previous game that I thought it was over for H2K, but I think this is the best game they've played in this series.
Yeah, I think we should keep our eyes on Lulex, because I think Lulex actually played really well this game. Like in terms of team fighting, his ability. His kicks were pretty much on point in that one team fight, which won them the game eventually. And I think we have to keep an eye on FLICKR too, to see what he will pick and if he can actually step up. Because quite frankly, I think the Ari pick has not doing anything in the games. And will he like step up and do something with like a different champion, like maybe an Oriana, pick it away, or will he pick the utility role on Lulu? But the Ari is not really doing anything for the comp, I think. And if we can maybe see FLICKR on something else, then we might see OG take the next game, or H2K finally found that confidence that they needed, that Lulex needed, that he's gonna go off in the next game to actually finally match up Amazing's early game.
For us, that would be cool. Then we'd get 5 games if H2K manages to go off. We're going to have that game for after the break. Before that, though, we're going to check in on Twitter, where @Schmutzmiddel wants to know, oh, this is a tough one. Is the level in the European LCS higher compared to last year with all those new formal challenger teams at the top of the league? Whew, Yamato.
I would like to say that obviously season after season the game is going to progress and every team is going to progress. So I think drawing that comparison is harder, but I do feel that there's more talent, like individual talent in the scene than there was before. We always had these names that everybody recognized that have been there from the start, and I think this new talent is taking a good place in the LCS.
There was something very interesting you said when we selected this tweet. I don't know if you want to say it again.
I have no clue what I said.
You said EU is like NA with Fnatic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's true. It's like EU is basically like NA with Fnatic. Let's be honest. It's like Rocket is like Team Impulse.
Who's CLG?
Elements is like CLG.
I am CLG. I was CLG.
Yeah.
You are CLG?
Yeah, I was.
God bless CLG.
All right, well, we'll see how it progresses. In any case, the pressure is on H2K still to come back in Game 4 to stay alive still in the summer playoffs. Before we go, we'll hear what it means to Lulex to play with a jungle sub waiting in the wings. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back.
Having a jungle sub in the team, it puts a bit of pressure on me to perform. So I think it's really good, and I expect to see more Western teams doing it in the future because they do it already in Korea, like even FLICKR as a sub. So, like I think Western teams should pick up on this.